I'm Julie Mitchell, and I'm with Local Hazardous Waste Management Program in King County / King County Solid Waste. That is a mouthful. But I really had to remember who I was because of that big old long agency title. So I'm going to talk a little bit about ammunition collection and what we came up with in King County as our solution to a problem waste stream. So what you see here, oh, there we go. It's hard to see. It's a little green dot, but this right here, what you see, this is a 20 millimeter caliber bullet. So it's a big one, and it is one that we were actually able to take as part of the collection. So before I get into the really good stuff, I got to show you this, because this whole thing about how we're made up and who Local Hazardous Waste Management Program is. And basically, we're a consortium of 5 agencies and the Sound Cities in King County. And basically, all that means is everybody chips in a bunch of money, and this is how we're able to fund our programs. Okay, so the Sheriff's Office, the King County Sheriff's Office, they have historically handled the ammunition, and that has the unwanted and unused ammunition. And I do have to say that this really might be a west of the mountains issue. From my understanding is, or I've heard that east of the mountains, where you have a little more room to go out and expend your ammunition, there may be no such thing as unwanted or unused. So, sorry if I'm only talking to half of the room here, but it could happen that at your facilities you might come up with some of this stuff. So just humor me if you're on that side, or you're out in places where people aren't going to waste perfectly good ammo. So in King County, the Sheriff's Office, they would take the unwanted, unused ammunition, and they also take the fireworks. And so the way that they dispose of all of that is they have burn trailers. And so while they're getting rid of the fireworks, they would also just throw some rounds in there, and then they would use that to dispose of it. And there were some issues with that. As you can see there, that burning the ammunition. Well, actually, it was the shotgun shells that really were causing a lot of the issue with regards to how hard it was on the equipment. But that's how kind of the Sheriff's Office looked at it. We looked at it as, wow, you're exposing your sheriffs to a lot of stuff that they probably shouldn't be exposed to. And these burn trailers were out in some rural areas of King County, and it was just kind of going up a little bit of a stack off of the burn trailer. And it was under the auspices of a training exercise, so they were able to do some workarounds with some of the regulations, and I'm just going to leave it at that. So, and then also from the perspective of the Sheriff's Office, it also took them away from their primary duties, which was making sure that I don't get hit upside the head as I'm walking down the street. I want them out protecting me, no, but for their duties of basically public safety. So, so there was also, because they were running a little short of staff, it was like, wow, can we really continue to do this? And so they were trying to figure out, man, if we can't do this, what's going to happen? And then that caused some concern with our local fire departments if some of that stuff just was going to end up in dumpsters and then start causing dumpster fires. So there was a general concern, if the sheriff can't do it, well, who can do it? So with this emerging problem, the sheriff, they came to LWAMP is what we call ourselves. The sheriff came to LWAMP and said, you know, because of some of the toxic constituents, the lead and some of the other stuff, we feel like this stuff could designate as hazardous waste, dangerous waste, which then means that LWAMP would have the authority to be able to accept the material. So we went about starting to take a look and see if that was going to be feasible. And so we had to do a little bit of research, and we had to bring in some different agencies to talk about some different alternatives, and there was a lot that kind of went into it. And if LWOMP could help, well, we knew we couldn't take it at our facilities because we're just not permitted to take ammunition and explosives. And so then it came up to, okay, well, if LWOMP can help, then how do we do collection? There were all kinds of different questions that we had to answer. And so through our research, we actually found that there were organizations that would actually take, there were the organizations that took unwanted, unused ordnance. And so we were able to actually find a few of those places. And then we also found that because we know that they like to kind of blow stuff up. So the end answer was, why, yes, we can help. And so we went about working out a plan so that we could take the ammunition. So as I stated, we did some research, and there it is, the National Association of Ordnance Contractors. And what? Who knew? I didn't know, so that's one of the things that we found out. And so went through and took a list of some different agencies or different contractors where we could then go out and we could do bids to see who could handle our ammunition. And then we found this particular vendor right here, and this is in no way endorsing this particular vendor. I'm just letting you know this is who we found when we bidded this out. This is the vendor that we're currently using to dispose of the ammunition. Now, one of the reasons why we picked this particular vendor is because they demill the ammunition, which basically means they dismantle it and they recycle all parts of the ammunition. And I've got some slides that show about that. But that was one of the things, because as I stated before, the stuff was just being burned in burn trailers. And so this way, it was being dismantled, no incineration, and recycling. So it was great. So then after we found this, we went about doing a memorandum of understanding with our sheriff. And we worked out an amount that we thought that we had to cap it just because of the way that our different procurement processes are. We couldn't go over this particular amount without having to jump through some other hoops. As I stated, we couldn't accept the ammunition at our facilities, so the sheriff would continue to accept the ammunition, and then they could keep it secure, and they could make sure that it didn't get stolen. So they provided secure collection and pickup point. And then the bomb squad is also part of our sheriff's office. So what they did as a little bit of in-kind, they would remediate some of the high-haz stuff that came into our facilities every so often, you know, some of the pitch rigs and THF, things like that. And so this really ended up, it was sweet, because this ended up being a real win-win, because when those high-haz materials came in, that was about $5,000 an occurrence. Nick, Min, is that about $5,000 per occurrence to bring in a contractor to take care of that? So that right there really helped to pay for. It didn't happen often, but when it happened, that was a pretty big hit that we had to take. So as I stated, the ammunition, it gets recycled, and the deputies, they didn't have to get taken away from their primary duties, and they were no longer exposed to some of the hazards of actually incinerating that stuff in the burn trailers. So this is how it used to be. And so this is a burn trailer. Okay, good, it's darker so you can see this. So this is what it looks like from the side. This is what it looks like inside. And these burn trailers, they are expensive. And those shotgun rounds were just beating the heck out of the trailers. And so it costs a lot to buy the trailers. And as they're getting beat up, it costs a lot to refurbish them. And this trailer that you see here was only about 3-4 years old and already it was kind of rusted on the outside, and then on the inside, that's not a real good shot, but that blanket and some other insulation inside, it was just all beat to crap. So that's how it used to be. Now, after our contractor, this is how it is. And so one of the other parts of the memorandum of understanding was that we would go and we would audit the final destination facility. So I got to go to lovely Columbus, Texas. Does anybody know where Columbus, Texas is? Yeah, me neither. So I do now. And it's in between Houston and Austin as the crow flies. Well, do you remember the flooding that happened down in Texas a few years ago? I got to be there to see, not right when it happened, but shortly afterwards, I got to try and work through that. So as I was talking to the guy who owns this facility, he said, what car have you rented? And I said, probably one of the little Priuses, because, I'm from here. And he's like, yeah, you might want to get yourself a Jeep or a truck. True story. I was never going to get a Prius, though. Anyway, sorry, I digress. So this is how it is now. So what this is this is the equipment. The rounds go in here, and then it gets pressed down, and then the rounds get separated, and then the metal falls into like a little basket here, and then the primer and the powder, it all gets separated, and the plastic, it actually gets recycled, and I'll show you in just a second. But this is just a shot of the operation of where the ammo gets demilled or dismantled. So I talked about the plastic gets recycled, and sorry, so this in-destination facility that's in Columbus, Texas, is Bonetti Explosives, and that's the place that's in Columbus, Texas. So the owner, Matt, he's a smaller operation, which is one reason why they were able to come in with a pretty good bid. And one of the things that he does is training exercises for the Texas State Guard. Who knew there was such a thing? But he does training exercises, and so when he reuses the plastic, he makes these shape charges for his training exercises. So the plastic can be anything. It doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be like, number 1 HDP. It doesn't need to be any of that. He doesn't care, because all he's going to do is he's going to blow it up anyway. So it doesn't matter. Hence the name, Bonetti Explosives. Okay, so at our sheriff's office, the precinct in Maple Valley, there's a locked up Connex box where the ammunition is kept. And so what this is this is a shot of the staging area for the pickup. So this is like a covered area here where this ammo was staged for it to be segregated and transported in 55-gallon drums. And then this shot over here is still ammo that was left over in the Connex box that had yet to be staged. So this was quite a bit of ammunition that had been accumulating, hence the concern for from the sheriff's office about what are we going to do with all this stuff. Okay, so the ammunition collection here, this just shows you these are just standard rounds, and these are some smaller caliber rounds. And then this is something that was kind of interesting that came in. So this is a homemade bullet from, we think, World War I. And so people used to take like the lead shots, and they used to wrap them in cardboard or paper. So this is, obviously somebody who passed away and was cleaning out the house, and then this is what they found. Super interesting. That's really all I have to say about that. It was an interesting, cool thing that we found. Okay, so then this is the shotgun shells that are put into the 55-gallon drum. This is, as I showed the slide earlier, this is the guy from AEODS, George McKinnon. And this is him, and then this is the sheriff from the bomb squad, and they together were segregating, and they were putting all this ammunition into those 55-gallon drums, getting ready for transport. So this right here, since this stuff is getting picked up, the bomb squad, they put some of their stuff in there too. So the bomb squad, when they would go and they would blow stuff up, what they would do is they would wire some charges, much like those shape charges that I showed you earlier. And so they don't use those anymore because they have their bomb robot. And so this is just some old charges that were sitting around. So they were able to get rid of their stuff too. And this over here, sorry, this isn't a huge good shot, but this is these are some wheat pennies. And the reason why I took a picture of this is because I'm as old as these wheat pennies. And if you know the years for those wheat pennies, you know how old I am. And if you don't know, I'm not telling. Okay, so just to make sure everybody's paying attention, I need everybody to do this. I'm not kidding. Okay, can you hit that? So this is a video of George and the sheriff Hiram actually dumping some rounds of stuff into the 55-gallon drum. And this doesn't look like this is going to play very well. Sorry. So what they did is they took the 5-gallon buckets, they weighed them, and then they would dump them into the 55-gallon drums, and they would keep track of the weight because the 55-gallon drums can only be, okay, they could only weigh so much. So that was just a video of them weighing and dumping. Okay. So it's like, okay, well, this is all nice, but how much did this cost? Let me tell you. So the total cost for about 4,500 pounds of ammunition was $18,000. So and this is a breakdown of the cost. So the actual ammo, which was 4,500 pounds, that was about $9,600. The labor, so that was George's time. The sheriff's labor was in kind. That was about $2,500. The transportation and equipment, and that included the drums, it's about $4,100. And then travel and per diem, that was George's cost. George's operation, if you saw from that other slide, he's in Montana, and so he just drove over. Oh, I said 4,500. It actually ended up being 6,000 pounds of ammunition. Sorry. And as you see there, 9 55-gallon drums. It all worked out to about $3 per pound. And so we had allotted 25,000, and that came in under that, even at the 6,000 pounds. So we are not going to have accumulations like that in the future. So we're not going to be looking at that much as we do future pickups. So we'll probably do at least one, maybe 2 pickups this year. And we're in the process of getting the logistics of that worked out for this year's pickup. So that's what I got. Oh, wait, I know who I am now. That's who I am.